Episode 83. Is AI stealing copyright?
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Recently, a protest took place outside the Dáil, which is our government buildings in Dublin, where Irish authors, screenwriters and poets rallied against Meta's use of their copyrighted works to train its artificial intelligence model Llama. So it got me thinking again, is AI stealing copyright? Hello and welcome back to the AI6 podcast. I'm Joanne Sweeney, and in just 6 minutes a day, I teach you all things AI. I try and take away the overwhelm because I do the hard work. There's growing noise around how AI is being trained and who is really paying the price. And it was brought back into my attention and into the public's attention 2 weeks ago when authors were protesting in Dublin, accusing Meta of using pirated books. Yes, you could say that they were saying that potentially Meta is stealing their words to train its AI model. This is a really controversial space, and I do have another podcast around who owns AI-created content and where does our own copyrighted material go in terms of AI. And I said that there were a few test cases in the courts in France, and we would need some test cases to, finalize in order to have legal precedent. So in today's show, I want to explore what's happening, what it means for marketers and creators, and if we really need to be worried about our own copyrighted work in the AI age. So let's think about the large language models. They've been trained on every single piece of information that's available on the internet. So from Google searches to Reddit threads, to blog posts, to podcasts, to YouTube videos, to social media commentary. All of that information, all of that content, the spoken word, the written word, the visual word, all of that has been taken to train these models. And of course, these models are owned by big tech businesses who are competing for market share, and they all want to be market leader. So the issue that the authors in Ireland and indeed across the world have is they're arguing that maybe their work is being used without consent. They're not getting payment. They're not getting, their licensed work. They didn't get permission. There's no acknowledgement. Their intellectual property. And now it's part of a tool that can recreate their style, their voice, their own intellectual thoughts, but without them. And this is a real ethical question that all of us are asking, but it's still a really grey area. And I'm going to bring on a legal expert to have this conversation with me on this very topic, because it's one question that keeps coming up. And why it matters is that, what are the ethics around AI training? The creative community wants transparency, they want fair compensation for their work. But I've got to ask the question, has that ship already sailed? We're already using ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, X's Grok, Claude by Anthropic, Meta's Llama. They're all here, they're all trained. Can you even roll back on training them? I don't even think that would happen. As I mentioned, there are so many legal grey zones. In many jurisdictions, scraping web content is still largely unregulated. Maybe that's going to change. I'm in Ireland, so obviously we look to the EU in terms of copyright. And I have to say the EU are pretty strict, and they really, really try and put the citizen first before the tech companies. And then, of course, it's about trust and transparency. And who do we want to give our money to, or our time to, or training time? Because every time that we use these models, we are also training them. They're learning from every interaction that we have. So I'm pro AI, right? But I'm pro AI for good. And, as an author, I'm also thinking about my work And then the business side of me is saying, well, you know what? I can also use AI to feed in all of my work, all of my books, all of my podcasts and videos. And, I'm working on, agentic AI and using my own stuff to train an AI agent to learn so that I can be a better teacher and have that practice. But also, I'm not going to resist evolution and I'm not going to resist transformation. I don't think that would be a good idea. But of course, I do also ask those tough questions. So maybe I don't have an answer to the question that I posed at the beginning of this podcast. And maybe that is the answer, that it's still a grey area. If you have thoughts on this, then definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just search for Joanne Sweeney and send me a connection request if we're not connected already. If you're interested in learning more about AI, you can hire me to host an in-company workshop. Or if you're a marketer, check out my CPD accredited AI diploma for marketers. Use the code AI610 over at publicsectormarketingpros.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will talk to you on the next show.